Hello and welcome to Select Board Roundtable. This episode will focus on an important capital project to address the aging Department of Public Works buildings located on South Street and some maintenance and life safety work needed at the town hall. And this is going to be on the municipal ballot as a debt exclusion on May 6th. We know that the voters of Shrewsbury need plenty of information to make an informed decision, and we're hoping to provide that this evening. I'm Beth Cassavant, and I'm joined by my Select Board colleagues, Michelle Conlon and Carlos Garcia. And we have two special guests with us this evening. We have the chair of the Municipal Facilities Optimization Committee, which is the fancy name for the building committee for this project, Pat Pitney. And we also have our assistant town manager for operations, Keith Baldender. And we have a ton of information to share tonight. So I'll just start with a little bit of background for people who are watching at home, and then we'll jump right into questions. So approximately a year ago, the Select Board conducted a workshop to assess the condition of our town buildings. And we wanted to identify what the most critical needs were in relation to ongoing capital planning. So the water and sewer garage and the highway garage were identified as needing significant repair work. And that's to address aging infrastructure and space limitations. And before the pandemic came and caused a lot of economic uncertainty, renovation and expansion of Town Hall was included in what eventually became the police station building project. And Pat, you were the chairperson of that building committee.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. So consequently, the needs that were identified at Town Hall have only become more pressing, and they were put on hold at the time. So in response, the Select Board decided to establish a building committee and charged that committee with identifying the most cost-effective solutions to address the needs of these three buildings. And I'm privileged to serve as our board's representative on the building committee alongside Pat and Keith, and also two other resident representatives, Mike Liberty and Stephen Walsh. So we call ourselves MFOC, MFOC, because it's less of a mouthful. And we have convened 22 times since June to develop a really fiscally responsible proposal that's designed to really meet the needs of the departments who operate out of the South Street buildings and also minimize the impact on taxpayers. So as we talk, viewers are going to see images of the current conditions and the renderings of the proposed project, which are brand new. Like our committee just saw the updated renderings at our meeting last night. And then we're going to discuss the project further in anticipation of two significant dates for people. So there's going to be a special town meeting on April 14th, where town meeting members will decide whether or not to approve the borrowing authorization for the project, and then a townwide debt exclusion vote on the May 6th municipal ballot, where residents will decide whether or not they believe that they would like to invest in this project. So given all the information that we have to cover, why don't we dive in? Who would like to get started?
I'm happy to jump in. Keith and Pat, thank you for both being here. Keith, could you perhaps explain or share with people who might not know what services are included in the Department of Public Works?
Absolutely. So the Department of Public Works impacts every resident, business, or visitor to our community. They're in charge of the major things that people see, like plowing streets, collecting trash, maintaining our parks, playgrounds, cemeteries, that sort of thing, overseeing our water and sewer department. And then there's a lot of other things that people don't see, right? But DPW staff deliver essential services and are on call 24/7 for emergencies, like those things I talked about, like snowstorms, water main breaks, that sort of thing, for example. And then each specific division, right? So there's the highway division. It maintains over 150 miles of roadway in the community. So they are responsible for snow and ice operations, street sweeping in the spring and the fall, any type sort of roadway maintenance, line striping, catch basin cleaning, roadside mowing, and they take care of our trees, and they have like the forestry work. Then we have the water sewer division. It's sort of self-explanatory, but maintains our public water supply, oversees operations at our water treatment plant, and manages our sanitary sewer system. And again, they respond to all of those 24-hour emergencies that happen with old systems like we have. And they also assist with snow and ice operations too. Then we have the Fleet Management Division, which is a fairly new division to the community, but the work has always been done in this fashion. It used to be part of the Highway Division. And they're responsible for servicing, maintaining, and repairing over 150 vehicles and pieces of equipment that this town owns. And those include all public works equipment, public safety, mostly police department, and then other town department vehicles like the COA vans, library van, those sort of things. And so those things that they work on include heavy-duty trucks, the loaders, backhoes, all the snowplow equipment, roadside mowers, the mowers that the Parks Department uses, to mow Dean Park or any of the fields. And like I said, other departments have vehicles here and there too. So, and they do a lot of work in-house. Very little that we do on our vehicles goes out unless it's under warranty, which we will ship it off. But they do a lot and that's not typical for most Department of Public Works. But the Parks and then we have the Parks and Cemetery Division, responsible for all our parks, athletic fields, Mountain View Cemetery, school, and they take care of all the school fields and all our playground facilities too. And then other divisions that are part of DPW, which is kind of the behind the scenes piece, is the engineering and conservation team, right? So they design a lot of our projects. And then that also includes a stormwater management program. And then we have the Public Buildings Division that they take care of all of our town and school buildings. And then the Business Management Division, they handle our customer service, utility billing, permitting, general business functions throughout DPW. And then the solid waste recycling and yard waste programs are part of that division too. And they are truly behind the scenes, but those are the people that when you call town hall, they're the ones that answer the phone. So.
Unless you're a precinct 5 or 10 resident and you vote at the water and sewer garage, or if you're dropping off cardboard at the cardboard dumpster, or recently we've had a lot of people stopping in to pick up sand and sand and salt mixture to help with all the ice that we have from our last storm. Most residents don't really have a reason to visit the DPW building on South Street. Can you walk us through what the primary needs of the building are?
Sure. So there's 2 buildings on site actually. So there's the water and sewer garage. It's about 75 years old. Been maintaining that building pretty well over the years, but its structural challenges are clear and showing. Like it doesn't take a really in-depth observation to notice that when you go see that building. And then you have the staff that work there and work out of that, right? So you see that, and to your point, like people do vote in there. So those are the only residents that typically go in there. But the MFOC has, we learned early on that it's not viable to renovate that or add onto it. So any additional space to it. So we decided, garage expansion of that building wasn't really a fiscally responsible way to go. So, and then we have the highway garage, which is the DPW garage, which is the larger building on the property. That was built in 1976. And that houses the Highway Division, Parks and Cemetery Division, Fleet Management, and Public Buildings has a small portion of that too. When this building was designed and built, it was way ahead of its time for the 70s, and I would suggest that up until recent years, that far and away one of the best highway design buildings in Central Mass. It's about 30,000 square feet. It's structurally sound. It was well built, well taken care of, and the old portion current portion will be renovated, and then we'll expand and add water and sewer division garage to that. Plus, also have a space on the second floor for our staff, DPW staff that's at town hall. And needed repairs that are included for that building. It needs a complete roof replacement. HVAC system insulation replacement. The fire alarm and suppression systems have reached the end of their useful life and must be replaced. The plumbing and electrical systems require significant updates, including improvements to restroom and snow and shower facilities to ensure ADA compliance and accommodate both male and female staff. In addition to these repairs, the building no longer meets the demands of our operations. The fleet management space cannot accommodate some of our larger equipment anymore. There's no vehicle wash bay, which really helps extend the life of our of our equipment, and storage for all divisions is pretty inadequate. Employee facilities are poorly ventilated and undersized, lacking proper space for staff to take necessary breaks. Some of our staff, as like this past weekend, they were there 35 hours. That's a long time without really a comfortable spot to take a cat nap. So, and then additionally, the site has limited capacity for yard waste drop-off and recycling, which have become increasingly frequent needs for the community. The community's been begging us for a recycling center for many years, so this is an opportunity here for that too.
Thanks, Keith. That was a really thorough explanation of the needs and the services that are provided in the town. I just wanted to focus a little bit on the town hall portion of this project. So just to make things clear, there will not be an expansion of town hall. That was something that was discussed originally when we were doing the whole municipal campus project, but because we're expanding the highway garage and the DPW building and moving office space over to those areas, we're not going to have a need to expand town hall. However, that does not mean work won't be done there. There are some needs there to bring it up to date and up to code. I believe we need a new HVAC system. The bathrooms need updating. Some of the tiles that are in there are asbestos in the flooring and ceiling. So there will be work going on there, but there will not be an expansion. So the reason we're doing these two things together is because we're moving people out of town hall over to the DPW building. There are a lot of efficiencies that are inherent in doing the two projects together. And this will reduce the overall cost of the project. If we were to do them both separately, you couldn't create the same efficiencies and get the same results that we can this way. This will also limit the disruption to town hall and be responsive to residents who do not want to see the town hall expanded. We know there's been a lot of feedback on that. So, we think approaching it this way is the most sensible and cost-effective way to do it.
Right, and so the town hall, it's about 28,000 square feet. It was originally built in 1966, and that would be the front portion that you see. That's parallel to Maple Ave. And then in 1997, Selco actually funded the expansion of that, which is about another 9,000 square feet in the back. That includes the selectmen's meeting room, and Selco's customer service counter and office space. And to Pat's point, we're not going to expand the building. It doesn't need any structural renovations. It's actually in fairly good shape. So the work, most of the work will include installing fire suppression system and upgrading the fire alarm system in the original portion of the building, because it doesn't. There is no fire suppression up there now, along with replacing and electrifying the HVAC system in the entire building. The bathrooms, to Pat's point, are literally in 1966. They are still there. So if you would like to step back in time, you can check them out. And they don't really meet current ADA accessibility requirements. So any upgrades that you do to a building, we would always want to bring them up to code in that fashion. And then Pat mentioned that we have asbestos ceilings and we have asbestos flooring, so we would mitigate all of that during this process. And then, the office space, it will be renovated and reconfigured to better serve the municipal and school departments. And we're just going to be starting the programming on that shortly to figure out how that's all going to play out. And then the selectmen's meeting room will also be upgraded to improve accessibility and better accommodate hybrid meetings and ensuring the space meets modern standards for any public engagement that we do.
So just to be clear, 1966 doesn't seem that long ago to me, because I was actually alive then. Maybe the only one who can say that. But I just wanted to be clear. So in summary, there will not be an expansion of town hall. There will be a renovation. And, we think that this is the right time to do it and it's the right project at the right time. So I just want to be clear to everybody that this will not be an expansion of the building.
That's right, and thank you both for the work that, well, all three of you for the work that you're doing, as well as the other MFLOC members who are not present with us. But I think one of the things that we have been hearing around this project is folks are maybe concerned about the size, and they want to make sure that the project isn't too large. So if this is approved, will folks be surprised by the size of the project?
That's a really good question. I'm going to take you back a little bit to answer this question. When I first started on the police station building committee, I had never been on a building committee before, so I wasn't used to seeing renderings, plans, designs, things like that. So when we got a first look at the building, I saw it and I said, oh, big building. And, you know, it is a significant building, but it was significantly bigger when we first started that project. We immediately decided that it needed to come down in size, which we did, we got it down to what we feel is the right size. So I think initially when they look at the renderings, because we're putting two buildings together, the water and sewer and the highway, it's going to appear bigger than it is. So when we first looked at the renderings, again, we said too big, and we immediately shrunk it down by almost 8,000 square feet. So we really feel it's the right size. In addition to that, the initial plans had almost a big tower of glass on the second floor. Again, making it appear that the building was much bigger than it actually is. So again, we shrunk down the window size, which not only is more cost effective, but it's more inexpensive to install. It's easier to maintain, and we think it's the right size. Not only right now for the needs of the town, but going forward. Whenever we do a building, at least the history of Shrewsbury is, we don't do it for right now. We do it for 35, 40, 50 years, and that's the plan on this building as well. So those are the two things that, from the outside appearance, will bring the size of the building down. In addition to that, because the two buildings are now together, we've housed everything centrally. So the locker rooms, the offices, the bathrooms, the shower areas, everything that all departments will use will be centrally located right in between the two buildings, and they'll all have access to those. So we think that creates efficiencies and decreases what would normally be the size of, if it were two separate buildings, all those things would have to be in both buildings. So again, we think we've created efficiencies this way. In addition, we're not tearing down both buildings. So the highway garage is going to be renovated, reworked, really expanding the useful size of that building. We're not increasing the square footage of that, but we really think that it's going to be used much more efficiently. And we're taking a 50-year-old building and probably getting another 35 to, I'll say 50 years out of it. So eventually it's going to be a 100-year-old building, which is, it's a nice way to do things when you can. But you know what, most importantly to me, in looking at this whole project, if you look at the facility now and the condition it's in, the town is growing, the departments are growing, and this is really we're providing a safe, updated, and appropriate workspace for all of the employees. Sure. So to me, that's really the most important part of this project. And if you see all the work that they do, and all the behind the scenes work that they do, it really improves the quality of life in town. And that's something that, I think is worth recognizing and noting.
Thanks, Pat. I think this is sort of a question for Keith maybe, but Pat, you mentioned, financial responsibilities for, why we would combine the two, the renovation of Town Hall and the municipal building on South Street, why we would combine these two projects into one made, overall ask here. And Beth, you mentioned when you opened the show, initially the Town Hall renovation and some renovations at the senior center were originally included in the police station building committee, but because of the pandemic and other challenges that were happening at the time, they came off of the plan for the police station. But I know some of the work that was needed at the senior center has happened. So I don't know if Keith, you could tell us more about
sure.
why we are where we are now.
Yeah, so I think you hit it pretty well. Because of the pandemic, the select board decided that we're going to focus on PD and not the other two buildings. The senior center needed more cosmetic work than anything else for that building, so we've been able to use some capital funds, replace some flooring, replace some furniture. This year, capital request for painting and some more flooring, and that really is, that's needed items, but it's also driven for our dementia-friendly goals, right? Like, because I learned a lot about that in the past couple of years. It's really interesting to me. So that helped really drive some of those changes. And then, the town hall work for this project is about $5 million, right? So that's not something that we could absorb with our operating funds or with our yearly capital funds. We only spread about $2 million a year in capital funding for projects, and many departments have many needs. The DPW project, with putting them together, really truly maximizes the taxpayer, or minimizes the taxpayer impact, and leads to efficiencies and savings throughout the entire process. We have one project team, one OPM, one designer, one construction manager. Really reduces a lot of costs. And then, there's some costs associated with the town borrowing money. So if you're only, it's more cost effective to borrow at once instead of two separate borrowings. So that's helped. So those are the main reasons for keeping it together. So.
Thank you. Yeah, so the select board discussed the timing of the project and its impact on taxpayers. In Shrewsbury, we responsibly maintain, renovate, and replace public buildings at the end of their useful life. And sometimes we try to stretch them well beyond the end of their useful life. Spending taxpayer dollars on extensive repairs for the water and sewer garage is not sensible. It's more efficient to replace it, renovate, and expand the highway garage and add office space for DPW staff and make necessary repairs at Town Hall. We review debt service to decide when to start the next project to have the minimal impact on taxpayers. With $630,000 coming off, we can manage this project's debt without raising taxes significantly. So it will add about $44.50 per year to the average single family tax bill, which is just over $11 per quarter.
Right, and like the total cost of this project is $32.5 million. That's our budget. $2 million of it, which was already approved at our fall special town meeting, and that was used to get us to 60% construction documents, which we actually received on the 14th of this month. So now our project team is working through the reconciliation process to make sure that we're on target with our estimates. And then, so of the remaining $30.5 million, $15.5 million is supported through utility rates, water, sewer, storm water, and solid waste enterprise funds. And then the remaining $15 million will be asked for through a debt exclusion. So, and a debt exclusion is like a mortgage. It has a beginning and an end date. Typically, new buildings have a 20-year payment plan, and then with the first year costing the most, and then the last year costing the least. And that's, we ask for the borrowing from special town meeting in April, and then we go to the voters to vote that $15 million debt exclusion.
And, Keith, with that with that $32 million budget, if you look at it, I've been in town since 1992. I've watched Forrell Street go up. I watched the high school go up, watched all of the schools be rebuilt, the renovation of the police station going up, the library. I've seen all the projects going through, and we have a track record of, on each and every one of these projects, of coming in not only on time but either on or under budget. So I think people can feel pretty confident over, at least in the time I've been in town, that we have not overspent or overburdened the taxpayers with doing projects that were either too big or unnecessary. I think the town has, and to your credit, the town has a great record of picking projects at the right time and at the right size and at the right cost. So we feel this one is the same.
Thank you both for outlining the challenges of the two buildings on South Street. And I think as more and more residents get to learn more about this project, I know for me, I learned a lot when I saw those challenges with my own eyes. So I'm just wondering, will there be more opportunities for folks to tour the facilities to get a look at, what challenges are there and learn more about the ways that we'll be addressing them through this project?
In fact, there are. And we felt that this was an important aspect of the project. We want everybody to understand and have complete transparency as to what we're doing. So on March 19th, From 6:30 to 8:30, there'll be a drop-in session at the DPW garage. It's open to anybody and everybody, and they can come in and talk with members of the building committee. They can talk with the architect. They can talk with some of the DPW employees to learn more about what they're doing, and just get all of their questions answered, because we feel that's really important so that people make an informed decision when they go out to vote for this project. In addition to March 19th, we have April 2nd at the DPW facility on South Street from 5:30 to 7:30, April 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30, and hot off the presses today, we were able to schedule a session on April 21st from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Senior Center. So for people that can't make it to the highway garage, the Senior Center will be available to them. In addition to that, Carlos, all of our meetings, and we've met 22 times.
22 times.
All of our meetings are open to the public, and they're free to come in and observe and watch the meetings. All of the meetings are taped and available on Shrewsbury Media Connection. And we also have a webpage on the town website under Municipal Facilities Optimization Committee, where you can get all the information that we talk about on that website.
And we're working to make that a little bit simpler to find too. So we'll have a button on the DPW page shortly. So when people open to DPW, they don't have to remember Municipal Facilities Optimization Committee.
Yes, that's right.
And it'll do that. Now we'll connect them to the page and to Pat's point, a lot of information will be on that site.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I mean, I think it's so important for the residents to have that opportunity to learn more and to get a little bit more an intimate look at the challenges of those buildings. So thank you for sharing those opportunities.
Yeah, I think for people who can't wait for those dates, if they are able to navigate to the Municipal Facilities Optimization Committee website, there are 2 videos uploaded already. One that I know you worked on in the summer, where you did a tour of the buildings on South Street, and then there's our select board roundtable from June, where we were in the garage and it was like 150 million degrees, and we had all the fans going, and it was so hot.
It was brutal.
But though, it's fun to watch that now because it's so cold outside, and it makes
hard to
me
remember what being
happy
hot feels
to know
like.
it's coming back at some point. But we have packed so much information into our time together, and I really do appreciate both of you taking the time to come in here tonight and record this so that people can get a better understanding of what it is we're doing and why. We don't take these kinds of asks lightly, and if these buildings had any more life in them, we would have found a way to continue using them. But we do see critical needs here that can't wait. And as everyone knows, the longer you put something off, the more expensive it becomes. And we do see an opportunity to slot this project in with minimal impact to taxpayers, which is always top of mind for us. And again, the whole community will have that opportunity to weigh in on May 6th, but any questions that people might have come up with while they're watching, or if they want to talk more one-on-one about the project, I know any one of us would be more than willing to do that, or you can reach out to the select board at shrewsburyma.gov to ask for one of us to give you a call back and have that conversation. So I really appreciate everyone being here tonight, and Shrewsbury Media Connection for hosting us, and for the viewers, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Select Board Roundtable.